tuning in again to the SECT Metal Podcast, Southeastern Connecticut Metal Podcast. Although today we are venturing into the western side of the state with an interview with Scott from Crossing Rubicon. And this was a really interesting talk I had today. Drove out to Waterbury to interview him. And we talked about a lot of things. The death of metalcore, all of his internet haters, he has a lot of them. Graves era Misfits, his bout with throat cancer. This whole auto-tuning thing that happens so often in melodic metal now. His views on Phil Labonte from All That Remains. Hint, hint, he doesn't like him. The business side of playing in a band, how he considers his band to be socialist, not in politics, but how they split up songwriting. His favorite Iron Maiden song, and of course we talk about the Don of Eastern Connecticut Metal, Dwayne Eldredge. Oh, and stay tuned because I was finally able to interview Casting Shadows, and that will be at the very end of this episode. But let's get into our interview with Scott from Crossing Rubicon. All right, and I'm here with Scott from Crossing Rubicon. How we doing today, Scott?
I'm doing good, Charlie.
We're in a restaurant right now, and you just got something caffeinated. What is that? What are you drinking?
I got a cappuccino.
You don't strike me as a guy that needs extra energy.
No, I really don't. Well, we just had a show last night, so I got home late, and
okay.
So I'm still like, I kind of look like I'm doing the walk of shame, like running eyeliner and stuff like that right now.
But do you rely on caffeine to or is it? Do you have you seem to have somewhat of a natural energy level that?
I do have a natural energy level. I love caffeine though, so it's kind of like I like to feed the beast.
Keeps you going.
Yeah, very observant. A lot of people are like, usually a couple, you're like, we've only met like once before. And
yeah.
You're like, right out of the gate with that.
Yeah. No, I noticed that right away because you were out late last night and you sort of bounced in here and now you're caffeinating and might have a problem is what I'm saying. Maybe we need to have an intervention or I don't really know.
I had a passive drug and alcohol abuse. They felt like I had this caffeine right now.
So for this, right, this is a step back for you, and this feels safe. All right, well, I'm going to come at you with right out of the gate with a pretty hard-hitting question.
Hit me hard.
When I saw you play last time, your vocal warm-up was Saturday Night by the Misfits, specifically Michael Graves era Misfits.
Yes.
Can you justify that, please?
I feel like I got nothing to justify. I love the Misfits, and when Michael Graves joined the band around 98, 99, I just really dug his voice, and I kind of dug the direction the band went in. I'm nothing against nothing against the Danzig, but I love that song. It's a great warm-up song too because it goes very low to very high.
You know, purists, like real punks, the guys that wear the vests with the patches and they're 46 and they still got the mohawks, they would shame you for an answer like that because Michael Graves is not acceptable. He's not Danzig or whatever. But I think you almost have to look at them almost like Van Halen / Van Hagar. It's almost just a new band.
Yes.
If you look at it with the expectation of the old, you're not going to like it, of course. But if you can divorce that from the original and kind of look at it, I like Michael Graves' era. I think he's a great singer. I think he's a really good songwriter. I think he wrote the majority of the good songs for those two records, right?
Yes.
And, things have, fallen apart with them since. And there's a ton of songs on those that are not that good. But
yeah, absolutely.
But there's a couple really good ones. And for someone just to come out of the box and just say, well, since it's not Danzig, it can't be good, that's ridiculous, right?
Oh yeah, no, I felt that way about a lot. When it comes to a lot of different kinds of music. I mean, people feel that you have to be pigeonholed to like a certain style or a certain group or whatever, or it's not considered cool. To me, I like to look at the talent, and I think people get too wrapped up in into labels. Like the genre, breaking up of the genres of music drives me nuts because we look at probably one of the most successful world tours of all time was probably Guns and Metallica. That tour wouldn't happen in 2016 because people in the industry would feel that a band that's over here in the blues rock punk sound,
right.
and a band that's over here in the thrash metal sound would just not work.
Right.
And to me, I like breaking those labels up and like kind of like going after bands that sound a little different when I play. And to me, it's like I don't really care what I'm supposed to like. I'm just gonna say I fucking like it or not.
Right.
You know, I'm a huge George Michael fan. Losing him, he was a great vocalist, great performer, great songwriter.
Right.
You know, it might not be considered metal to say that,
right.
but you know, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that kind of led me into something I was going to ask about anyway. Speaking of the Misfits, visually, you're a rock guy. You got the long hair, you got the look. You sing like a. You're not afraid to dip into falsetto and sing like a metal guy, but you have punk in you, right?
Yes.
I could tell that you have some punk aesthetic to you, and these aren't things that you seem to be afraid to bring to the table, right? You're not falling into these preconceived expectations that a lot of people will hold. Okay, so right now what's cool is metalcore, but you're not going with what's cool right now. You seem to be with Crossing Rubicon, just doing what comes to you.
Absolutely. I actually, one of my favorite reviews of our record, somebody had said that they listened to our record and they said that you guys like to fuck with people, like to categorize music. And like, you know what? We just write what the fuck we want when we want to do it.
When is your rap album coming out?
I've not I don't want to say like new metal, but dabbled a little bit in some hip hop because I like. I'm very limited with the hip hop that I like, but the hip hop that I like, I love it. I'm a big Public Enemy fan, and I was an NWA fan before Straight Outta Compton was a movie soundtrack.
Right.
And then anything that came from Dr. Dre, obviously the Eminem stuff and Snoop Dogg, like that stuff I was a fan of. Uh-huh. And after that started to fizzle away, I kind of lost all interest. But like the old school stuff I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm going to come out with a hip hop record, but
but you wouldn't say you're not going to either.
I always get like criticized by my band members sometimes with some of the words when I'm writing a song that I get very wordy, and sometimes I will kind of steal a little hip hop meter on some lyrics. You know, because I like to play, like, I love, like, the way, like, Eminem would break something up. And I'm like, I could do that a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah. If it makes you distinctive, then why not? I think right now, kind of in the climate we're in musically, distinction is needed because so many bands are just, they're not even creating, they're just chasing the formula.
Absolutely. And the formula is what pisses me off the most. It's like when I say, like, I'm a punk guy. I like old school punk. Kind of got into punk through the back door because I was into thrash. Got into punk, kind of grew into liking other stuff. I never really liked one genre of music at a time. Right. But the punk thing kind of was always like, to me, it's the natural, like what rock and roll is all about. And in 2016 in the music industry, there is no punk anymore. Even like, I said the worst thing that ever happened in music was pop punk. But like there's nobody like, everyone's following a formula. Everyone is trying to kiss ass to get to a better place, but the asses that they're kissing really don't have a lot of money anyway.
Right.
So it's not like you're not gonna get rich because you get signed to blah 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 record label, and you have to bring a lot of that to the table. And people aren't really given anything different anymore. Nowadays, people are staring at their iPhones, and they wouldn't know what a rebellion is like if it slapped them in the face.
Right.
Like, to me, it pisses me off if I go to a show and I see a lead singer that's lip-syncing on stage and a band that's pantomiming on stage and not even playing their own fucking instruments. Uh-huh. It's like, I live to play a live show. Right. Like, to me, if I say, well, this person lip-syncs, like, to me, that's kind of a very punk thing to do nowadays. I get looked down on by some people. You really shouldn't be doing that. You're going to hurt your music career. Yeah. I'm going to hurt my music career for calling somebody out for being a fake?
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, I think... I don't know. Being outspoken it will probably get you more attention anyway than just following the normal route that everyone else tries to take. I don't see the point. Well, speaking of which, though, kind of a personal question, I guess that I would have is, what is it like to be in a band that people like?
That people like?
Yeah. Because I don't know what that's like.
I like holding on to nothing. Actually, I listened to your guys. I was listening. Literally, like your CD was in our car for about a good week and a half, nonstop. Let's do it over.
Were you placing cups and stuff on it, Dunkin' Donuts cups?
No,
that's what stuff. I use it for.
People like it. Yeah, some people like it and some people hate it. I get as much likers as I get a lot of haters. So I could say I don't think anybody is ever really truly liked by everybody.
Well, that's. I'm glad you brought that up because I think one of the marks of success is not just unanimously across the board having people like you and sing your praises, having people that kind of vehemently dislike you too, which you have because I was looking you up on YouTube.
Oh yes, the YouTube haters.
Almost half of the comments were like negative, right?
Oh yeah. You actually, before you even go there, YouTube actually deleted comments on their own. They took it on themselves to delete some comments from some of those video posts.
Just because they contained words that they could tell were...
Certain groups of people out there like to call me a faggot. And there were some people that have actually threatened to shoot me.
Wow.
I had somebody that said to me that they knew where I live and they love to come and put a bullet in my head. And that was actually... I've had 2 people threaten to shoot me.
That's you are successful then. You're truly, if you're getting death threats, you've done something right.
I was told one time I better never show my face in Western Massachusetts, and I'm like, well, I did. I actually just played there this past Saturday to 300 people. So
because some Western Massachusetts metalcore kid in an As I Lay Dying sweatshirt is going to shoot you.
I know.
Get out of here.
I even said, I was like, dude, not for anything, but like you shoot me, you go to prison. Like
yeah,
that's like
over what?
Yeah.
Haters, haters, haters.
This is a quote. This is by somebody named Dead Skills with a Z.
So you know that they're really, really, really like on top of this stuff.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like Freddie Mercury a little bit, and that 80s vibe, but not bad. But there's room for improvement. And I understand you are a big Freddie Mercury guy, but you actually somewhat disavow the 80s influence. You've actually come out, I read on a couple of your comments here, that you're not a fan of 80s music.
All right, when I say 80s music, people lump, because of my hair, people like to lump us into like a hair metal category. I hate hair metal. I absolutely despise it.
You hate hair metal.
I hate hair metal.
See, looking back, I mean, I think we're about the same age. Looking back at those 80s bands, it's kind of easy now to say, it was gimmicky. It was kind of easy stuff. It was, all kind of made for radio. But even now, I can look back and appreciate some of that stuff just for what it was. Just kind of, it's not Blue Oyster Cult. It's not something that you can really dig deep into, right? But you can just straight across the board. You just don't like any of it.
There's like 4 bands that I liked, and those bands were usually like the originators of what happened. And then when it started turning cookie cutter, I'm like, this is shit.
Right.
Like I love Motley Crue. I like, and I don't lump them into that category.
Right.
I like LA Guns. I don't lump them into that category.
Okay.
I like Guns N' Roses, and I like Skid Row.
Yeah. So you're not allowing bands like Winger.
Yes.
And Warrant.
And I'm not discrediting
Trickster.
their musicianship. I know they're brilliant musicians.
A lot of those guys really could play.
Yeah, and then they bring in some fat guy with a cigar. I was like, I want you guys to write an entire album about love songs and breakup songs and play some 3 chords and some great solos. And I get what they were doing, but whenever a music style becomes financially palpable and people start investing in it and it becomes like everything starts to copy that, that's pretty much when I lose interest in it altogether.
Right.
In the 70s, we did that. They took rock and roll and they made it radio pop.
Yeah.
In the 80s, they took heavy metal and they made it hair metal. In the 90s, they took punk and they made it pop punk.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but like for, 20-something guys writing a punk song whining about getting drunk and partying all the time is not my idea of punk. Like it's like, really? It's like, what are you guys rebelling against?
Yeah.
When it comes to the 80s, when I say I don't like the 80s, I know where they're going with it, and I'll be honest with you, some of my favorite music came out of the 80s. Like I said, I'm a huge, I love Queen, I love George Michael, I love the 80s pop music. I felt had more integrity than the 80s metal sometimes.
Right.
Like you listen to like Phil Collins in the Air Tonight when he's pretty much saying like his entire life, his biggest regret was not jumping in the water and saving this kid he saw drown when he was a kid.
Yeah.
His wife cheats on him. She's divorcing him and say, you know what? If I saw you drowning, I wouldn't do a damn thing to help you out. That's fucking metal.
Are you saying that that holds more musical worth than "She's only 17."
Oh God, yes.
17. And don't say that in front of Dwayne, because
I know.
Dwayne will take that personally.
Dwayne and I got into it a couple times. Actually.
Shout out to Dwayne.
I love Dwayne.
Kill the straggler.
Bon Jovi. we kind of had a little. He respects Bon Jovi. Apparently, he's a really nice guy. But he was trying to buy my football team, and that wasn't right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of the commodification of something that was originally good in music and then mutated into something more commercial, my I guess opinion of metalcore is that maybe it was never good. I don't know. Before certain elements were introduced into metalcore, it was like if you look back at Shai Hulud or Overcast or one of those bands that kind of that came from them. It wasn't them going, we're gonna steal some In Flames and
I was just gonna say
add it to some Meshuggah, and then we're gonna add in One Direction pretty choruses, which every band does that now. That's every single band. It's stale and it's dead and it's.
And I get a kick out of like not for anything, but like there is no, except for Kill Switch, and they do it right, and their fans will never, whatever, they do their thing. And my only issue with it is that it has gotten so stale that every metalcore fan will die for their band, but they hated every album that they've come out with since this one album they were introduced to.
Yeah.
So they really don't like music.
Yeah.
Like they got into this one record and then they hate everything else that comes after it.
Right.
And nobody's really successfully doing what metalcore was and making money off of it anymore. It's not like it's in. I mean, bands that are still doing that style of music, like it's not, if you're doing it because you love it, then do it. But if you're doing it because you think you're going to make a career out of it, good luck, because it's a lot harder than they think.
Yeah, I just can't listen. I just can't listen to another song. I don't care how technically proficient they are, how good guitarists they are, how dynamic of a singer it is. That stuff was created in Sweden 20 years ago, and you guys co-opted that. Some of these kids now that are making this music are 20 years old, so maybe they don't get the history of it. But you're basically, stealing early In Flames, bringing that in, and then you just know it's coming. Like there's this hard verse, and they're screaming, and you just know, here it is, 3, 2, 1, boom, and it goes into this melodined, multi-level, layered pitch-corrected chorus that with this syrupy, sappy, like Mickey Mouse Club anthemic chorus about girls, right? Yep. And then it goes. I'm an old guy. I think nobody's going to listen to my opinion about that anyway. But if I hear another thing like that, I'm diving headfirst into a concrete wall.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I completely agree with you. It's the hair metal of our generation.
It is.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. So you sort of seem to me to be somebody that has a pretty clear vision of the music that you want to create. And my assumption is that when you started this band, it wasn't just like, I'm going to start a music thing and see where it goes. You kind of like had an idea of where you were going. The problem with that sometimes, being the person who's got a very clear vision in their head, is attracting people towards that vision and then keeping them in that band. Because sometimes things diverge, people have different opinions. And how has that been for you? I understand that it has not been a solid lineup straight through. And I guess if you had to offer some advice to a younger band that was trying to solidify their members, what are some things you might say?
Oh, first of all, I will say at this point, I love my lineup right now. It's hard. When I started Crossing Rubicon, I will say this: I was at a point in my life where I was kind of like, I had given up on the music thing because I thought I wasn't good enough. I went deep into a business career, and point in time, it started to tear me up because this was like what I was kind of like meant to do. And when I started the band, originally we were gonna I wanted to record one record. Actually, not to get too cryptic here, but I was actually told by doctors if I didn't stop doing drugs and drinking, I wouldn't be around for much longer. So I was like, I never recorded that record. I never had my Dark Side of the Moon.
Right.
You know, so I hooked up with my two closest friends who I pretty much like forced at gunpoint to join the band. Not literally at gunpoint, because people are taking that way too
Don't
seriously.
go totally Western Mass on us here.
Yeah, so true. So I would like force them to like, here, we're doing this band thing, let's do this. And eventually we got a lineup. I never disliked anybody in my lineup, but when things started to work and I cleaned my act up, I stopped doing the drugs, I stopped doing the drinking thing. Actually, I was sober for years. Eventually we started playing out and people started to like the music. And then it turned into, we started playing out of state, we started playing festivals, and all of a sudden stuff happens, and we had a deal to record our record, and it was like, we really need to keep following through with this, and we made a decision. We're going to take it from being weekend warriors to being a career.
Right.
And when that happens, everybody wants to be a rock star, but yet at the same time, if you have a wife and kids and a house and a career, you either, you really shouldn't walk away from, you can't walk away from that. Right. So you kind of have to consider yourself like you are going to be a circus sideshow freak living in a bus. And sometimes people that want to make that decision can't make it themselves. Sometimes you're looking at somebody who's like, well, I can't play this, I can't do this, I can't do this. It's like, well, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to work out. And so finding people that had no problem living like vagabonds and doing this was kind of an issue in the beginning. And there were people that came along afterwards. They were like, well, this band's successful. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then, like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that I got to go away and do that? Like, it's like, yeah, that's kind of what the game is.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get a lot of money back. You're not going to, as a matter of fact, we have to invest stuff to try to do something back. So you really have to do it because it's in your heart and know that you're really going to struggle to pay your bills. You really have to take a step back, especially because we were older. If you're 22 years old and you're looking at, like, find your lineup, put your heart into it, don't do it to make money, but just do it. Get on the road and play in front of as many people as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, as soon as I get the right person to discover us, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
No one's going to discover anybody because they're musically talented. People are going to discover you because you are already going to bring you put a record on sale and you're going to sell 10,000 copies in the first week. They might be interested in you.
Right.
So that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when we finally picked up Mike, our the last pickup. I mean, Brandy and I wanted him in the band 5 years ago.
Which one is he?
Mike Coco, the long-haired guy, real skinny dude.
Oh yeah. The one that I said looked like he would equally look the part if he were in a Swedish black metal band.
Yes, that guy.
Yep.
And I wanted him in the band 5 years ago, but he couldn't sing. He was an amazing guitar player, and I needed at least 4 vocalists in Rubicon. And eventually, when my wife took over bass playing, she sings like she could be a lead vocalist. So I was like, okay, we can bring in a guitar player and that doesn't sing anymore, and we finally got him.
Right.
And when I talked to him, I sat him down. I'm like, so what do you? He's like, he works a dead end day job so he can go on the road and tour. Right. I was like, you're the right guy. Yeah. It was perfect timing.
That is actually pretty impressive about you guys. Like, even your drummer sings. Like, everybody's involved with the vocals. When I saw you, I kind of noticed, like, even before you started singing, you have a certain stage presence, way of getting people, like, involved and get their eyes on you. And I don't know, you kind of have, for lack of a better term, kind of that rock star swagger. And part of me was wondering, as I was, watching that go on, like, is he a natural? Is he just somebody that's never been afraid to get on stage? Or is this something that you've built up through years of playing on stage that you kind of gotten there? But then, from what I understand, you're a classically trained theater person and singer. Is that what you would attribute a lot of that to?
A lot of it, yes. I think the one thing I loved doing theater. I loved acting, and I love being in front of a crowd. Like, I never got nervous. If I'm playing in front of like 3 people or I'm playing in front of 10,000, I've always been just like, get me out there. I can't wait to get on stage. But one of the things I like differently about music from being an actor is, I mean, yes, and singing live, doing theater was a big help. But through music, I actually am doing my own thing. Where in acting, I'm always reading somebody else's lines unless I'm writing my own musical or something. And who's got time for that? But yeah, so like a lot of that came from theater. Like when I was a young kid, I always naturally liked to perform, and I always like to, I always like to be on stage. I I was 4 years old with the acoustic guitar in my living room playing songs for my mom and dad. You know, it was kind of like from the beginning. And I think just acting kind of helped me to kind of focus on almost like the art of playing live music. And there are people that, like I said, like I've seen performances throughout my life growing up. I mean, like Freddie Mercury, who he knew how to have an arena of 10,000 people, and if you're sitting way up here, you still feel like you're in a small club watching him,
right?
And trying to make everything big and make everything. And I think things out, plan things out. I hate to say that I follow a script, but in a small way I do. Not legit. Like I'm not sitting there memorizing lines, but I cut my setup so I can make it like I talk here, and I talk here. Because the worst thing is when a singer starts rambling, and then they're like, you're sitting there and be like, get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to like cut the pacing up to keep it all very exciting. And yeah, so basically a lot of it did come from my theater background.
Okay. Cool. I think it's time to get back to your haters.
Haters! Haters!
Oh boy.
Let's talk about your haters. Whoever the hell the lead. Oh, by the way, this is from Greg Thomas.
Okay, Greg.
Whoever the hell the lead singer is, the 80s are done. So another guy, like we already mentioned, you know, kind of calling you out for your look, maybe more than anything else.
These guys are obsessed with the way I look. When it comes down to it, it's like, can't you guys find something else to pick on?
I don't know. I still think it's cool. I think it's cool that people care strongly enough about what you're doing, one way or the other. You know,
it is cool. Like I'll be honest, like it's it was tough. Actually, the story behind a lot of the internet haters came from when we released our first lyric video for the new record. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to be completely honest because there's certain things that I have not said before. I'm just going to fucking say it. My wife had come from a metalcore band, All That Remains. And when she joined the band, she was with All That Remains, and she was playing with us. And we had somebody that would fill in. After years of being treated like shit and not paid well and kind of, she was miserable with them. She loved playing with us, so she dropped them, and then she came with us full time. And we were about to release our record, and we were told to release a lyric video for a song. We were given a very, very short timetable. I want this out by October 1st to get interest for the record to be out in December. So we rushed to get it out. We're like, we're actually planning on doing a music video, but no, we just want a lyric video. Get something that people listen to. So when we released it, we specifically told the publicist, do not mention All That Remains in the release. Do not mention former bass player. We want nothing. They're like, came right back and asked me, like, do you understand? Like, this is going to open up to a lot more viewers. We're like, we have no interest in those viewers. Those people that like that band are not going to dig our music, and we don't want them coming over here because they're like finding us to be the budget meet and greet for an All That Remains former bass player. So we want nothing to do with that.
And a business guy, that's the last thing we want to hear because that's free marketing. All
Yep.
you got to do is just write that in the copy, and that's going to transfer, at least get some ears over to you. But you guys said no.
We said no. I said, here's the deal. We're going to release the album. We're going to start touring, playing with local and regional bands across the country. Fuck playing with big national names that need people to sell tickets for them and need people to, buy onto tours. And we want to do more of a grassroots thing. And if somebody came in and said, wait a minute, that's the former bass player from All That Remains, cool, because they like the fact that she's a great bass player and a great vocalist, not necessarily because she sang in some band that had a couple of hit singles. And that lasted for about a day. If it was going to happen naturally, fine. I just didn't, we don't want nothing ever mentioned. So all of a sudden, like the first day, we had about 1,000 views of this video. It seemed to go pretty well. The next morning, I wake up, click on my phone, and PRP writes an article. Former bass player of All That Remains, new band, Crossing Rubicon, releases their new single. And I was like, my stomach sunk, and I'm like, shit. That night, my current manager was in Japan at the time, sent me a message like, dude, I am so sorry. I told him not to. I'm like, you know what? Maybe they saw, like she shared the video on her Twitter. Maybe somebody put two and two together. I don't know. He's like, do you want to do a retraction? I'm like, well, what the fuck are we going to say?
Yeah.
Or you come on and say, "Oh, she's not that person."
Yeah, different person altogether.
So he tells me that night, he goes, "Whatever you do, dude, just keep a very strong," or he was like, "Keep a very strong backbone the next couple of days." And I wrote back, I was like, "At least it's not blabbermouth, LOL." Next day, I'm at work, and I get a message, "Dude, if this many people hate you, you got to be doing something right." And I look at my phone, I had 250 friend requests. I was just like 246. And all chicks. And I like, what the fuck's going on? And my friend Bob Marino, who does OFNR radio, had posted, "Oh my God, Crossing Rubicon's in Blabbermouth." And it said ex bass player from other. And like, no!
Yeah.
Like Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith. No! And there was like, the article was well written. You know, they really did some research and they did some background. And then just the hater comments started. And it was just, and then I started getting direct messages from people, and it was like threatening, and it was like, holy crap, like,
right.
Wow. And it was, by this point we had like 5,000 views of the video. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh God. So the next day, Jeannie and I were doing work with a group called Road Recovery out of New York City, which is an organization that gets musicians involved with helping kids that are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction off of drug and alcohol addiction by getting them into music. Some great musicians have done this stuff. James Hetfield, Slash, Eric Clapton, and it was an honor for us to be helping them out, you know. So we were headed down to do this, and I get a message, be like, "Dude, brace yourself. Metal sucks." Article comes out. You know, Jeannie from All Remains in a band, worse singer than Phil Labonte, which is just laughable because Phil can't sing. As a matter of fact,
I think he's admitted that.
He lip syncs on stage, and he uses a lot of pitch correction in the studio. There, I said it.
I think he said that too.
And he's an asshole. And I'm like, they're calling us Five Finger Death Punch Light and all this other stuff, and I'm like, God damn it. So needless to say, now we have like 10,000 views of the video. It got us some more attention. That was good. It got us some attention. Like, we went on tour the first time. I was scared. 'Cause, like I said, people were threatening to shoot me.
Right.
I was like, God damn, over a fucking song. But eventually, after like 5 months of therapy, because I needed it, the album finally came out. And fortunately, the album came out and it got like rave reviews, and people were like, oh, you know, this is like, it's very, like whatever. It was very well received. And one of my favorite reviews were like, when we saw that the bass player from All That Remains was in this band, we thought it was just be a bunch of meathead moronic metal again. And we listened to it, like, wow, no, these guys are actually pretty talented.
Right. Wow.
So,
I mean, it sounds like you went into that with the best of intention, not wanting to, you know, kind of rest on the laurels of what she had done before. And
I wanted nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and just kind of speak for yourself, and then it almost like a fuse was lit. And I mean, looking back on it now, after all that drama and therapy and all that stuff, was it worth it to get those 10,000 views and to get all that attention, metal sucks and all that kind of stuff?
I still don't know.
Yeah.
Every day it's like one of those things where like you get like, I mean, like, you know, recently, I mean, you know, like, yeah, I mean, Phil has actually said people go on to our YouTube page and shit talk us.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I think it's awesome.
I guess you could say that. Like, to me, it's just like, I don't care. I mean, the way I look at it is they're at the end of their career anyway, and you know, like whatever. But
right.
like, I don't know if it's good or not. You know, to me, I write music because I want people to. I like write about stuff that people can empathize with, and I always say, like, I'm not a very interesting person compared to everybody else. We're all kind of just like the same people, and writing music that people can empathize with and listen to and take something from, and kind of like, you know what, this song really helped me through a tough time or whatever. That's kind of what I write songs for. And kind of the internet drama and the bullshit, it kind of seems to find me.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it gets clicks. You know, intentional or not. I mean, it gets eyes on you, if nothing else.
That's true.
And getting back to your punk roots, there's nothing more punk than being hated by 50% of the people who hear you, right? So,
you know what? I'd rather be loved by some and hated by the rest than mediocrely liked by everybody.
Yeah, that's totally it. So you are in a band with your wife, and that's I'm sure that's got to provide some challenges, because even just living with someone or being in a long-term relationship, it's going to be a lot of give and take, back and forth, kind of figuring out how they communicate, how you communicate together, trying to get your needs across while fulfilling their needs. I mean, that's just any relationship. But now this has not only been extended into your band, but your band is becoming a career. So it's got to be hard to kind of navigate those waters. So my question, having to go through all of that and really be focused on multiple goals at once. What is your favorite Iron Maiden song?
That's awesome. My favorite Iron Maiden song. Oh, can I pick two?
Yeah, we got time.
Okay, I'm going to go with Murders of the Rue Morgue and Flight of Icarus.
Can you justify those answers? They're good ones.
Where I was when I heard them first, there was something about Icarus when I first heard it on my friend was playing it on a CD, and I'm like, just everything about this song is awesome. And Murders of the Rue Morgue, there was just something about Di'Anno that I liked, and that was my favorite Di'Anno song.
Di'Anno's punk.
Yes.
He's awesome.
Minus the white power stuff. But there was something about the visceral way he sang that song that I just really got into. And it was based on a Poe.
I got to stop you there. I don't know if you know this. Di'Anno has admitted to using a ton of Melodyne and pitch correction early on in his career. I made that up.
That's
I don't want
awesome.
to besmirch his name.
That's awesome.
They
you know
didn't
what?
have.
I'll be honest with you. I don't have anything to hide. I've used pitch correction in the recording. Like everything I sing live, and the reason everyone's like, "Oh, you use pitch correction." Well, yeah, I do. Okay, here's the deal. We had a budget for our album, $12,000. A lot of that came out of our pockets. We had gotten rid of the person that was backing us because they wanted too much control. So we had about $12,000 to record the album. We were writing the album over a course of 4 years, and when you write and you're performing something, and then you got to go back to record it, you brought on some bad habits. And after you've done a couple of takes to try to hit that right note, I don't pitch correct the whole thing, but there are parts of songs we had to go back and touch up, because the thing is, if we sit there and try to get everything right out of the gate, it could have cost $20,000, $30,000.
Oh yeah.
Now, nobody's buying records anymore, and there's a difference between. To me, there's a difference between, and it's a slippery slope. But if you're using pitch correction to correct something, as opposed to creating the song,
right?
I understand that, because like recording budgets for bands, like even a big name band that's multi-billionaires, because that really happens these days, their budget has been cut back drastically because people aren't buying records.
Right.
So they have to. Metallica can go off in the woods in the cabin with Bob Rock and spend 2 years working on a record, but most bands can't afford to do that. So going back and saying, "Hey, Scott, you were a little off here. We're just gonna take this one part and move it up."
Yeah. And
I'm not saying they're doing whole songs, but they did a little touch, because I've got nothing to hide,
Right.
So I get that.
And how many? I mean, that's all pop singers.
Yeah.
There's not a single pop singer that walks in there and nails it first cut. Guys like David Coverdale or the first go in and do it and leave. Those guys are gone, right? It's just industry norm at this point.
I've had a couple of songs that I did with we had a good decent amount of songs with no pitch correction. There was a couple of songs though they had to kind of tweak a little bit. There was one song, producer could not find the right note. We were sitting there with a piano. We're like, wait a minute, this doesn't work. We're nothing really works on this one line. So all right, pitch correct it. All right, can you re-sing it like this? Boom, all right, done.
Yeah. I as somebody who, I wouldn't call myself a singer, I am somebody who attempts to sing. That's actually, I don't think people understand how grueling it is to be in a studio, having maybe your whole band there, certainly a producer, engineer, and you're trying to hit those notes, and they're just saying nope, nope, nope. And you can actually sing. I can't, so I think it's harder.
You
for
sing.
Me.
We sing in two different styles.
That's tough psychologically. That's hard. That's a lot. That's like rejection.
I had one producer one time that had the best way of doing it. They would do a take and they come back with, I know you got a better one in you. I'm like, that was cool. I had another guy that was like, wow, that sucked.
Yeah, you got different guys. We're working with. We're actually in the middle of recording now at Studio Wormwood with a kid named Dave Kaminsky, and he came from Morrisound down in Tampa. The death metal capital. Obviously, we're not playing death metal, but we're doing a 3-song 7-inch. 3 songs.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, it's like 12 minutes of music, right? So I recorded the vocals in my studio at my house, and because it's just easier, and I send them over to him, and he gets back to me a couple days later, and he goes, hey, just full disclosure, because I'm on the clock and stuff. I had to put a lot of time into these. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, tuning and correction, automation, and all this stuff. Okay, well, tell me what you're saying. And he goes, well, about 12 hours. So 12 minutes of music, 12 hours just on vocals. He's putting in an hour per, per minute. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. These guys are unsung heroes. The guys going in there. And actually, I ended up scrapping all of it and just going to the studio. And, I think finding a good producer, a guy who knows how to work with you, there might be somebody that could look at you and say, this guy just needs someone to hardline him and say, no, that sucked. Do it again. Maybe you're going to respond well to that. Dave is more like a therapist. Dave's like, you know what? You're getting better every time. And I'm like, that one wasn't good, right? He goes, no, it wasn't. But you're doing great. You still feel good when you screw up like that. How when you're in the studio, what works best? Do you need someone to kind of coddle you, or do you need someone just to break you off?
I was when it came to actual recording, I was very, very blessed that I worked with 2 people that really had good experience. Vic Rivera was our engineer, and Nick Bellamore was our producer. They actually didn't work together up to this point. We kind of made them work together because we had fired our previous producer. And honestly, they both made me feel like I was the center of their universe. For the time that I worked with them, when I was working with Vic, it was almost like he was my Alfred to my Batman. And I felt the same with Nick. Nick Belmore from Dexter's Lab, he lived our record when he worked on that record. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting text messages from him. Hey, trying this out. What do you think about this? And I'm like, damn. And they kind of both made me feel special. So I like that. It was kind of a good way to work with me.
Yeah, you need that. Dave is literally teaching me how to sing. So we're going to get a recording, and it's going to be what it is. But he's literally teaching me how to sing. It's great. I think as hard as it is, it's so worth it. You come out the other side just better than you were before.
That's awesome. You're doing a 7-inch though.
Yeah, we're trying to actually make it harder for people to listen to us. I don't even own a,
Well, you know what? That's the niche nowadays. The truth of the matter is, the one thing I love about the music industry at this point, because it's going down in I always say the music industry is a country club that's in foreclosure. Everybody thinks that they're important, everyone thinks that they're rich, and everyone thinks that they're special and whatever. Mm-hmm. And realistically, you're looking at them, and those people maybe are making $30,000 a year doing it.
Yeah.
And they're getting their Instagram views up and or likes up or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, state of music sucks right now. Well, it's like, no, the commercial state of music sucks right now. There's still a lot of great bands that are doing what they're doing, and they're not going to stop.
Right.
I always say fighting the good fight. And what happens is, you can see that because it's becoming more of a niche industry again.
Yeah.
Vinyl is outselling everything else except for downloads right now.
That's what I hear. That's crazy.
It is. And what's cool is, I've always listened to vinyl. I'm a vinyl guy. And I think eventually it's going to be more back to being a niche industry. It's going to be a blue-collar industry again. There is a way to weather the storm. You just got to think. You got bands that are that are oh, God, we have to go on tour without a clothing person, or we need to go on tour without a... And, you got other bands that are kind of coming up where they're just kind of holy shit, you got a sound guy?
Right.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's like these bands are the ones that are going to survive, and the ones that are kind of phoning it in are the ones that are going to eventually be hurt. They're not going to survive.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's different. And are you going to be the one that can survive the turbulence?
Yeah. The thing is, the way I look at it is too, I'm not looking for that big tour opportunity. All these bands are looking for and stuff like that. Here's the thing: the big tour opportunity. I'm not going to mention the band's name, but they were looking for a band without a bion, which doesn't happen anymore.
Just to clarify that for people who are listening who don't know what a bion is, including me.
When you are shopping for tours happen for many different reasons. People think that because some band musician, they're going to take you out on tour because they like you.
Right.
Doesn't happen. there is between management, record label, booking agency, they all kind of talk, and they are what is going to best suit us. Now, if say you got two bands on Epic Records, one of them, say you got Metallica, and then you have this other band that's just an upstart coming up or whatever. Well, the label is investing in Metallica, so they're going to say, let's put this band on with this tour to get them more exposure so we can say, hey, two successful bands. Mm-hmm. That's even happens less than it used to. Nowadays, it's like this company's working with this company, so they're like whatever. There's always going to be some kind of a back-end deal because people aren't buying records anymore. Bands make all their money on touring. So now, if you're a touring band, you shopping out, we're looking for tours. They shop out to all the different labels, management companies, whatever. And then they say, we need a band for this this tour, opening act, the opportunity of a lifetime, and it's going to be $350 a show. Like you have to pay.
So you have to basically give them a kickback to get onto the show.
You'll find that the kickback situation happens less if you can bring more to the table. Like if you know, like we just had a situation where we were offered something, but it was no buy-on, and they wanted 150 people, a venue that you bring to the table, all on the West Coast, and they didn't want to pay us for it. Like, well, not for anything, but if I can draw 150 people all on the West Coast at all 15 of these venues.
What do you need them for?
What do I need them for? So it's kind of a hit and miss. There's a give and take situation when it comes to putting a tour together, and I will say people are like, oh, if you do a buy-on, you're a fucking sellout. Not exactly. There's good times to do it, and there's bad times to do it. Case in point, I had an offer to buy on for this one band that is doing extremely well, and it wasn't unreasonable. It wasn't a long duration of time. It was a 3-day run, 3 major markets, playing to 2,000 to 5,000 people a venue, and it was like $300 a night. So for $900 in the course of a weekend, we could literally play to anywhere from 10 to 15,000 people in a club.
Which, if you're super aggressive, you might make that back on shirts or
absolutely.
Right?
So it was a great opportunity. But then again, there's another situation where I had a tour out like for a month, $250 a show with this band that I know came to Connecticut and sold 5 tickets, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. So like you got to kind of pick and choose your battles, and yeah, but on the other hand, I would rather work with other bands that are kind of on our level, like on our part that are just touring, have some reach in some other markets, working with other local bands. And instead of like local bands like sell tickets to open up for like Nonpoint, and nobody from Nonpoint really gives a shit.
Right.
But like instead, like, yeah, I will take your music and I will put your music on my page. I will share your music on our page so that more people like your stuff. You bring people to come see us. We bring people to come see you. And kind of doing more of a grassroots way of doing it instead of I just want to open up for rock stars and play for lots of people.
A lot of what you're saying kind of is bringing it back to the point, at least for me, that that the dream, if I just sit in my room and play guitar and get really good at singing, it's going to be there's so much more to it than just simply being good at music.
There's a lot more to it. I mean, there's. Yeah, there's a lot more than being good. You gotta be savvy, and you gotta. My thing is like I just want to be ethical too. Like to me, like I do what I think is right. I might have a little bit more of a warped sense of views.
It might get you shot.
Apparently. How dare you write a commercial radio metal song?
There's something punk about being commercial though too, right? Overtly commercial.
Well, my thought process was
you're
always
like more punk than punk.
My like when I said like I like Motley Crue, it wasn't because I was a big girls fan. There was an aspect to Nicky's lyric writing that like my favorite Crue song of all time is Starry Eyes, which is a song about a guy who's about to commit suicide and he hooks up with a hooker for one last hurrah. And it was like this sad, sexy, empathetic song, and you're like, wow, like you're not afraid to go dirtbag to try to tell a story because I can actually relate to that.
Yeah.
And like a lot of things, like when I write, I like stuff that hooks and catches. I have not actually. It's ironic enough. Zach wrote the only like quote unquote sort of love song on the album. I haven't written a love song yet. But I like to write stuff that. Like I said, in my past, I've had affairs and I've had sex scandals and I've had stuff like that that's happened. And I wrote about it. I had a drug.
You sound like Dwayne Eldredge.
I know, right? And then I had like other stuff, like if my
Shout out to Dwayne.
Actually, I just played Cooks last night in Naugatuck, and I just pointed out to Dan Jackson from
Shout out to Dan Jackson
from Chasing
Casting
Shadows. Casting Shadows. And I always say Chasing Shadows. Sorry, Dan. Jeannie screwed me up on that, Dan. I'm sorry. I saw the old poster the first time I ever met Dwayne in the back, and I was like, dude, it's us and Dwayne back in summer of 2010, like our poster hanging up on the wall.
Oh yeah,
It was like
did he have hair back then?
a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. he gave up on that.
Dwayne was the fucking man.
He still is. He's we call him the godfather of metal in our side of the state because he knows the business side of things like you do, and he's smart about not just setting up shows, but strategizing and putting the right bands in the right places and talking to promoters, and yeah, he's really good with that. Back to hater comments. This is my favorite new segment of our show here, hater comments. Someone online said you look like a linebacker had a baby with Legolas. Please comment.
I've gotten Thor a lot, but I'll take that. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. Don't sue me. Don't hate me. But you know what? Again, they're gonna keep going after the way I look. Like, okay, fine. What do they look like? $50 says he's probably got Cheeto dust on his hands right now.
Oh, by the way, I have the guy's name. It's Charlie from Holding On to Nothing.
Okay, so there is no Cheeto dust. Charlie, that's fucking hilarious.
So you had throat cancer.
Yeah.
And obviously that's one of the hardest things that anybody in any aspect of life is going to hear, let alone having to go through it and deal with it. But hearing those words and having, just that impact you. You're familiar with Nurgle from Behemoth?
Yes.
So he went through leukemia, and it was pretty serious. And I remember he was interviewed, and he said something that I thought was really honest. The interviewer said, when you come through this, is this going to affect your songwriting? And he said, of course. He said, something this big can't help but affect the way that I approach the rest of my life. I don't know how it's going to affect it, but there's no way that it can't. And then, historically we look back, and they went on and they released The Satanist, which is their masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And it's an absolutely vicious, brutal album. Remembering when he went through that, I thought he might come out on the other side and take a softer look at life, but he came out of the gate hard. So, we were talking before we started recording that you dropped a very lucrative career to do something almost, menial at this point, so that you could chase success with Crossing Rubicon. Your brush with, not to candy coat it, your brush with death, coming out on the other side of that, did that empower you to be able to make decisions that a lot of people would not make, simply because it's out of their comfort zone to say, I'm going to give up on this and really chase, what I'm after here? Did you take some positivity from that moment?
Yeah. To give you to kind of really put things into perspective, I left my career at the first of the year of 2014, and it was a drastic pay cut. At the time I was married, and my ex-wife had been supportive of me. Oh, you got to do this, because I had done so much for her in the past. And then a week afterwards, she leaves me and clears out the bank account, moves out, and drops that bomb on me, divorces me. The day before that, my best friend had told me that he had to leave the band because he couldn't go the road that we were going because he had a wife and kids. And then the day after that, I got told throat cancer, which was like the worst weekend of my life. But it was also very, holy shit. Well, the way I look at it is maybe I was meant to kind of drop all this and all this stuff was to happen so I could put this record out. I kind of didn't get motivated immediately. I kind of went back to drinking and partying and stuff well, you know what? If I got a short time in my life, here, I'm going to whatever. And I'm going to live it up. And it was about a month and a half in we had somebody that there's a point to this. We had a kid. His name was Joey Scheidler, who he lived out west. He listened to our songs on a internet radio station out there, and they told him he was a big fan of our music. And he was also diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. And they asked me to do like a plug for their radio station for him. And like at this time, I didn't spend a single moment sober or not whoring around. And I sent out this clip, and I'm like, hey, Joey, whatever. And I even said to the guy that worked at the radio thing, I was like, at some point, I'd like to give this kid a call. It really means a lot to me that his music means that much to me, whatever. That next day, I get a message that he had passed away. And it kind of like shocked me. And I sent the message out to my band. This is weird. It's February 19th, 2014. We were playing with Buck Cherry the next day. And I said, I was like, you know what? Like our music means something to somebody. So that became kind of like my motivation. Like it was like a wake-up call. If everything else I had been to at that point wasn't a wake-up call, it was that this music means something to somebody. And we went back and I started pushing people to the studio. I will not mention any names, but I had one person. One time I was like, you got to get back in. You got to do your tracks. Because at that time we were recording in the Bronx and living in Connecticut. So it's like you got a nice little 2-hour drive. You record and you drive back. So it was kind of a hassle getting people down there. And I had one person who's no longer with the band that was like, well, what's the point? You're going to be dead in 6 months anyway.
Wow.
And that person's no longer with the band. But I said, here's the deal. He's like, if I'm going in the ground, we're releasing this record. And that's where the album title, No Less Than Everything, came from. Like this is everything that we were going to, and then from that point on, we actually wrote a song on that album about that situation called The Fallen. Yeah, it was just kind of like once I got over the whole, I got lucky with the cancer thing. I went through one surgery. They tested some tissue, and it turns out that everything was removed, and we were good to go. But at that point, I'm like, so somebody wants to go on our Facebook page or Twitter page or YouTube page and shit on me for the way I look or whatever. Well, fine. Like after everything I've been through at this point,
yeah.
Someone like it hurt. Like people are like, well, a bunch of fakers, a bunch of phonies trying to make a name for themselves. Who the fuck do they think they are? And that's the thing. You know what? It's not just about me. But whenever you see a band playing or somebody say, you don't know what they've been through.
Right.
You don't know what got somebody up on that stage to sing those songs. And that's the cool thing about music in general. We are all special. We are all unique. We've all had sacrifices. We've all had pain. Everyone can relate to that. So, got to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But that's kind of what drove us. Yeah, it definitely changed our. Yeah.
So, I mean, you can almost look back on that. Obviously, a very scary moment, but in the long run, and certainly for the case of Crossing Rubicon, it was kind of a defining moment. It's something that you probably wouldn't change if you had the chance. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It literally turned into, like I said, No Less Than Everything became our battle cry after that. It wasn't literally the album title came out on my way home from the hospital. They're like, from now on, it's No Less Than Everything. I'm putting the flag in the ground here. It's a battle cry, and our mentality is we want to take this as far as we can go, and bands that we play with that we really like that are working with us, we want to help them out in every way we possibly can. But that's what it all comes down to, like people that are fighting the good fight.
Well, that leads me to my next question. What are some up-and-coming acts, specifically around Connecticut, that you have your eye on that are impressing you?
As you saw, because after what I watched you guys, I like jaw on the floor, like thank you for giving me something different to listen to. I don't really. To me, it's always like the right mindset. I find inspiration from almost anything when it comes to music. Don't give me the same shit that everybody else is doing, and have a good heart and whatever. And I will work with any band that has that mentality. So for me to say new and up and coming, like last night I played with Casting Shadows and I played with Enemy of Reason, who they've been around for a little while, and both sets were amazing. I don't, I will. I get excited about everybody that's good. It's kind of like there's nothing like, and if it's I guess if I listen to a good metalcore band, I'll dig it, or whatever. Like if I listen to something I had I'm trying to think, sometimes nobody really sticks out because everyone's good. I have a band called Death Code that I'm playing some shows with right now, and they're like 1970s New York punk with a little more distortion.
Nice.
Like, and I'm just like, yeah, like that's cool.
Younger guys too.
No, around our age.
Okay.
Probably like more around our age, our generation.
Right.
But I wish I would see some younger kids doing that stuff.
I like, it almost seems like metal has, in terms of extremity, like it's gone as far as it can go. I mean, there's only so many, how far you can go with blast beats and see how fast you can go. So a lot of these kids now are going kind of retro, and there's like this whole current now of bands that are going back and doing like late 80s, early 90s style Chuck Schuldiner death metal. And I love that because these kids weren't even around back then, but they know that there's something good there. I like all those, the kind of circling back that's going on,
I would say like for my music thing, I was actually more influenced by the 90s because there was some diversity in the 90s. Like metal had to fight again. They had to change things up and whatever. And yeah, so I like just, it was not like Anthrax sounded white noise. I, as a child, loved Anthrax. If I listen to old school 80s Anthrax now, I'm like, ooh.
I can't agree more with that. I think John Bush era Anthrax is underrated.
Very underrated. When they came out with Sound of White Noise, I was blown away by that because it was the first time I heard something really different.
Only on Headbangers Ball, 1993 or whatever it was.
Oh my God! And that album, if it wasn't for that album, I don't think Crossing Rubicon would be doing some of the stuff that we do. But that was definitely a huge influence, and I loved it because, like I said, gave us something different. And this is a band that we saw for years.
Yeah, it's back to that Van Halen, Van Hagar thing.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a Van Hagar fan.
It's you just got to look at it as something different. And just don't shut your eyes to it.
Yeah, and so anybody that gives me something different that makes me like, hey, like I said, I listened to Holding On to Nothing. I picked out Morrissey was the first thing I heard, and then I heard Typo Negative second. But I was
cool because everyone else says the exact opposite.
Oh yeah, first thing I heard was Morrissey.
Nice, I'll take it. So Crossing Rubicon, what's going to happen? We're almost into 2017 here. What are the plans for the upcoming year?
Right now, we are going to be announcing a tour any day now. I keep sending our manager emails. Hey, what's going on? He's like, it's coming. We're going to be going on for about 3 weeks in February. I know it's going to probably start in Buffalo. Like, you want to go down south?
That's cold.
It's cold. It's my home state, though. Or it's my home city, so I'm actually excited. And then we are gonna hit some Florida. I think we're actually going to Florida this weekend. Actually, so if you're listening to this podcast a week or so from now, we've been to Florida this past weekend. It was lovely. It
will be lovely.
It will be. We got a couple of. We're doing a Women Who Rock festival on Saturday. We're playing a show in Tallahassee on Friday, and then just waiting back for summer festival shows, and kind of like you line up the festivals and then you try to tie in the tours with the festivals.
Right.
That's kind of like what our next step is. So hopefully playing on the road a lot, and we are currently writing our next record, which no less than everything was inspirational. Battle call, we are moving forward, blah, 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 damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. The next record, I will tell you this, is going to be a lot based on our experience working in the music industry and kind of dealing with this kind of like the climate of our country right now, and it's going to be a lot more punk, but
nice,
without necessarily being I like to be punk without being punk.
Yeah,
like I like to write that song that people listen to on the radio and like, oh, it's a really catchy song, and then when you find out what the song's really about, it's it's about hating this nun that raped you when you were in grammar school.
Morrissey.
Yes, that's kind of what I go with. Like that's kind of like my mindset. So it's gonna be we're dealing with Mike writing, with Jeannie writing. It's definitely taking us and opening up some different areas that we haven't been in a long time. Like we're definitely looking at different styles of music again. I just keep coming in with just straight out. Okay, do you like Rise Against?
Yeah,
I love that.
Great singer.
I think that they're like that's like when they're putting stuff on the radio and I'm listening to some of these lyrics that they're I'm like
that whole song about George W.
Yes, yeah. Like everything they everything they could put a song on the radio about burning the White House down and killing the president, and nobody thinks twice about it because
it's getting airplay.
It's getting exactly. So that's kind of like where I'm going, and Jeannie's kind of bringing in some stuff. She's actually brought in like a Swedish death metal ballad
Uh-huh.
that
Wow.
she brought to the table. Mike is bringing in some Velvet Revolver type, more attitude, angry stuff, and then Zach's with the Norwegian metal riffs. So it's kind of like,
See, I knew it. I knew that guy's got some black metal in him. I knew it.
yeah. So once we tie it all together, it's all going to sound like. And that's another thing you talked about earlier in the conversation about, like bands, like kind of going through members and whatever. The thing about Rubicon is we are completely a socialist band. Everybody has input in the band when it comes to writing, and everyone writes. Originally, it wasn't like that. Originally, I came in like Stalin. Like I will write all the songs. You guys just sit back and you will play it.
Yeah. And you will like it.
But you will like it. And then eventually I started working with this other guitar player, Peter Hearn, and him and I were writing. We started writing. I'm like, all right, you could write some songs too.
Yeah.
And him and I started writing. And I brought Zach in the band, and it was funny because Pete was like, what's he in the band for? He's playing guitar. He's like, but you play guitar. I'm like, not anymore. Like, I can't stand when singers play guitar. It's boring as shit to watch. We went on Dave Matthews, And so Zach comes in, and Zach's like, hey, guys, I wrote a song. And literally it was like, that's cute, kid.
Yeah.
You wrote a song. He brought the song to the table. I'm like, holy shit, this song's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and it was like he wrote the music, and I come in. I'm like, play that track. I recorded a chorus for the song like immediately, and the chorus has never changed.
Wow.
And then I had so then all of a sudden, like Jeff comes in, or like when Matt joined the band, like everyone kind of brings in ideas. And once you put Brandy's drums behind it and my vocals behind it, it becomes a Crossing Rubicon song.
Right.
So no matter where it comes from as far as influence goes, we all kind of none of us leave anything on the table when it comes to writing.
That's the enemy of staleness. When everybody can contribute like that and feel like they have a voice. And I think it's easy for if you have a formula for the songwriter to keep doing their thing, but eventually it's going to run out, right?
Yeah.
You have to listen to the other people.
Yeah, like I always say, well, that's one of the things I love about Graves. He's like the Frank Sinatra crooner of punk.
Oh,
and
he's great.
Yeah, and I like if somebody wants to write like a Frank Sinatra style tune and it comes in, you know what? I put a vocal on, you hear Brandy's drums, it's Crossing Rubicon song.
You ever see him acoustic do Dig Up Her Bones?
Yeah, I video. Here's the thing. I kind of have a little bit of an issue with Michael Graves right now because I came back from my tour in July. And I get a text message because I came back from tour. I had to pick up some shifts at work to make money. And, people that were making fun of me on a Facebook page because I'm a waiter who was in a band. Fuck you, I need to pay my bills.
Haters. Love them.
Haters.
Love them.
So anyway.
As long as they don't have guns.
Yeah. I came back from tour, and I'm like, dude, you're going to Michael Graves tonight? I'm like, no, I got to work. Like, you're always off Saturdays. I'm like, I didn't know Michael Graves was playing tonight. Son of a bitch. And I ended up, I was devastated because I picked up a shift to make money.
Yeah.
And he was playing in town. Then I get a Bands in Town notification. Michael Graves coming to Connecticut August 13th. And I'm like, wait, I'm on tour August 3rd because we were going back on tour. And then he comes back in Connecticut again. I took the night off from work, and then he was sick and couldn't play the damn show. I'm like, God. He's becoming my white whale again.
It's just not lining up. So any last remarks, plugs, shout-outs?
I have nothing else to plug or shout out. I support a local independent rock and metal. And thank you all for caring and listening.
What about the social media links for Crossing Rubicon?
Fair enough.
Anything you want
Fair
to...
enough. CrossingRubiconBand.com is our website. There is our band store, which we got some cool merchandise up. Actually, we just came out with our Transformers T-shirt that we just debuted, and I was really proud of.
You got the touch.
Yeah, the You Got the Touch T-shirt.
Bush.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stan Bush.
And then we have Crossing Rubicon on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's it.
Cool.
And YouTube. We have a YouTube page, as you could hear, because that's where everyone's attacking me.
Yeah. Keep it going.
Keep it coming.
It's entertaining.
You want some? Come get some.
It's clicks. It's great.
And I do talk to some of the haters. I do.
You engage them, which I think is cool.
The thing was,
some people take the high road, but it's more fun when you don't. Right?
When you think that some of these trolls are coming over because Phil Labonte is sending them over there, if somebody tells you to do something and you just go out and do it, you're not dealing with really a high level of intelligence here.
Right.
I mean, so immediately, you're showing up to a gunfight with a knife. And then for the most part, when it comes to some people that we're hating, I just here's the deal. Why does this song piss you off so much that you have to come out and say something about it?
Right.
I got lots of stuff I don't like. I'm not going to go out and go to their YouTube page and be like, this song is horrible. Like,
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever you do, keep doing it, because the haters are there, and it means you're doing something right. You're getting clicks. You're getting eyes on your band. You're getting ears on your band, and it's working.
Sometimes I'll just be like, well, thanks for the view.
That's it. That's all you got to do. All right, Scott from Crossing Rubicon again. Thanks for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
Awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Again, thanks to Scott for coming on the show. We're going to get into the music now. We're going to start with Crossing Rubicon and their song Violet Carson.
Max
That was Crossing Rubicon with Violet Carson. I asked Scott if he had any particular bands from Connecticut that he wanted me to play at the end of today's show, and we're going to start with Continuum. This is a band he recommended, and their song Kiss the Pavement.
Showdown, who needs respect when I get to you? Money brings this weapon, I just clip and bow. You roll me up with your dirty deeds, so you can sleep at night, return your hands on blade. You wash them clean with blood money. It's the pavement, and we're all born to bleed. We're dead man walking, we don't wanna die. So I kill everyone. I kill everyone. Cow flesh, dead on the pole. I wake at night. I don't dream alone, dream of waves, never seen them die. Twisted, broken thing, paralyzed behind their eyes. Get down on your knees, pray to anyone. See, we don't wanna die. Look at the pavement, but we're all born to bleed. We're dead now. I killed everyone. I killed everyone. I killed everyone.
All right, that was Continuum with Kiss the Pavement. They can be found on Facebook at facebook.com/ContinuumCT. Up next on Scott's list of requested Connecticut bands, we have Enemy of Reason with their song Never Again. All right, that was Enemy of Reason, and they can be found at Reverb Nation /Enemy of Reason. And lastly, I didn't want to do this to you, but Scott insisted that I play a track by Holding On to Nothing. This is Already Broken off of our 2015 demo.
To
And that was Holding On to Nothing with, who cares? Thanks to Scott from Crossing Rubicon for being on the show today. And to our house band, Bill Bates and the Crossthread 5. If there's anyone you'd like me to have on the show, let me know. And my apologies to Casting Shadows. We wanted to have them on today, but we just ran out of time. We'll get them next time. SECT Metal Podcast out.